Okay, so the next section here is going to be a little bit more advanced, but I think that you can do it. If not, I'll fire you. No, that's totally fine. I won't do that. Maybe I will. I don't know. Anyway, don't worry. You can do this. Believe in yourself, but don't feel overwhelmed. You can always stop things and start over again. All right. So let's talk about this. We've worked a lot on making sure that we've got a nice sense of shadow here. But if shadow, like we did before, you can see that the shadows are kind of happening. So the light up here is coming from up top and kind of coming down. But if we look at the highlights on Al, on her body, it looks like the light is coming from this direction. And the big kind of selling point for that are these highlights here. So we need to get rid of them, which is not the easiest thing to do. But we're going to try something. So what we're going to do is we're going to select all of the bright white highlights, and then we're going to do something called content aware fill, where it's going to kind of just fill it with the areas around it. We'll get more into what content aware fill is, its pluses and its minuses later on. But for this, it's a quick way to kind of help with things. So the first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to open up Al here. I'm going to double click because that's going to open up the smart object because we made Al a smart object. So let's zoom in. Now, how are we going to select all of these whites? We could go through and use like the magic wand tool for every single one, but that would take forever. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up to select and use color range. There isn't a tool for this. We have to do this under the menu area. All right. And we'll put this to none so we can see it. And we're just going to select that white highlight. We can increase or decrease how much is selected using that fuzziness. We can also add a little bit more. So maybe get a little bit more there, bring the fuzziness down a little bit. We can really see what's going on by using a black matte. All right. Just going to push it up a little bit higher here. Okay, so that looks like that's getting a lot of those highlights. We're getting a little bit more than we would normally want to, but that's okay. We can kind of come back and fix that later. Let's hit OK. We can see that that's all selected. All right. Something we're going to do just to kind of, to push this out even further is we're going to go up to Select, Modify, and choose Expand. There's also Contract. This is really nice if you've made a selection and there's a little bit of a white halo around it. You can select around it by hitting Command and clicking over on this, and then contracting it by a couple pixels. But what we're going to do is we're going to expand. We're going to make these selections bigger. And it's going to say how many pixels do you want it to. I'm going to use 3. You can see here it kind of really blows it up. So now we've got almost all of those bright areas selected. Now we need to do something. We've made our selection. We need to do something. And what are we going to do? We're going to go through and do something called Content Aware Delete. The way to do that, hold down Shift and hit Delete. All right, so we just want Content Aware. Hit OK. It's going to take a second on my computer because it's very old and very slow. But what it's going to do is kind of figure out from the areas around it what you'd want and why that's not there. And you can see, bam, we've gotten rid of all of those highlights. And so that's giving us a much better idea of what's happening. So we're going to save, Command S. And once that's saved, when we come back here and look, you can see a lot of those highlights have disappeared.